Good morning. I want to update you on a variety of different issues and then take some questions. One, I know there have been a lot of questions arise involving. You okay? I know there have been a lot of issues involving environmental-based questions and concerns. I want to update you on my current information. There are, in the greater Houston area, there are 17 sites in the impacted area. Of those 17 state sites, staff have assessed 5 sites and no major issues have been noted. Staff is coordinating with the responsible parties where the responsible parties are addressing the sites, 4 of them total. Preliminary information on 3 sites do not indicate any apparent impacts, and additional follow-up is occurring. 1 site remains flooded as of yesterday. That is flooded site, Superfund site, International Creosote. We can't say that there is any danger or damage. However, we can't make any determination at this time. It's important to know that the TCEQ is coordinating with the EPA on federal sites. On federal sites, if I understand it correctly, there are 33 sites in the area. 11 needed follow-up action by the EPA to confirm their status. However, I was on the phone with the regional EPA administrator this morning and can say that none of the 11 EPA Superfund sites pose any damage or danger to the public that is known at this time. The most important takeaway for everyone to know, and that is that both the EPA and TCEQ with the state are working constantly and collaboratively to ensure that first we monitor and have a good understanding of any potential danger or hazard as a result of any of these Superfund sites. Second, that all damage is contained. But third, as of this time, we are unaware of any damage or danger that has occurred. An update on some weather and flooding-based issues. The addicts in Barker in the Harris County area are scaling back releases to relieve flooding along the Buffalo Bayou. The controlled release, however, should soon remain in the confines of the Buffalo Bayou. However, flooding is expected to continue for a few more days before beginning to recede. Over to the east, the Sabine River at Orange is beginning to recede, and all other river sites are now in recession. That said, major flooding continues in Wharton, Brazoria, Jefferson, Orange, and Newton counties. Our information shows that that flooding should subside later this week. Moving to some healthcare-based issues. Some good news is that so many of the affected hospitals are getting back online. It's our understanding that 95% of the hospitals in the greater Houston area are functional. There are 106 hospitals that are fully functional in the greater Houston region, four hospitals that remain closed, 2 that are operating on internal disaster status. In the Beaumont area, no hospitals are closed, but 3 remain on internal disaster status. 20 are fully operational. In the Victoria area, 1 hospital remains closed, 1 is on internal disaster status, 9 in that region are operational. In the Corpus Christi area, 2 hospitals are closed, 1 is on internal disaster status, and 15 are fully operational. I want to talk about some current and looming healthcare-based issues. A key issue that we are focused on is vector control for mosquitoes. The state of Texas has a vector control task force working with local officials as well as working with federal HHS as well as Federal Department of Defense. We are prioritizing areas for aerial spraying. Local spraying has already begun. State spraying should begin this week. The Department of Defense will help with wide area spraying. I know that issues arise often about funding. I want to talk more as we go along at appropriate times about funding, but 100% of the funding for all of the vector control spraying will be paid by the federal government for spraying that is done within the first 30 days. That's one reason why we want to increase this effort and ramp it up quickly and aggressively at this time. First, obviously, so that we can control what could be a meaningful mosquito outbreak, especially at this still hot time of the year. And I think if we can do an aggressive job of containing this over the first 30 days after the storm, we will be able to get it under control. Next is healthcare-based issues that Texans face as they go through the rebuilding phase. An issue that people need to be aware of as they go back into their homes and begin working in their homes is tetanus. And we are urging every family member who are back in their homes that have gone through contaminated flooding waters and debris to contact either your own doctor or a local public health department to make sure that you are either up to date on tetanus or that you go ahead and get a tetanus shot. The same applies for bacterial infections. It's a byproduct of people who have been in the flood waters or people who are working in homes that have been flooded. Again, we urge you to contact your own local physician or your local public health department. While cleaning, it's important for your personal health that you strive to follow certain hygiene and standards that will reduce the risk of having health-related problems. Use gloves, use masks, use ventilation for your home, meaning open up doors and windows. Be sure to put bandages on scrapes and cuts to try to prevent contracting an infection. And obviously be sure to throw away any type of perishable food once you return home. Moving over to roads, TxDOT continues to work aggressively to open up roads as fast as possible. However, there are still 118 roads that remain closed. The good news is that I-10 is now open. However, ongoing assessments will be needed to ensure that the quality standards are sufficient for the heavy traffic that will be coming. No interstate is closed in the state of Texas. Around the Houston region, importantly, Highway 59 is now open. But here again, all these open roads will need ongoing inspection. As a result, caution is needed for drivers driving on any of these roads, understanding that we cannot yet confirm the high quality status of what is to be expected from these roads, but we are working to do that as quickly as possible. Also, it's worth emphasizing that there still remain some areas in the state of Texas where there could be water on roads and potential flooding from certain rivers. So it's essential that people remain vigilant about not driving into roads that have water on them so that you're not swept away, or that if there is low-lying water, you be very careful when you drive across those roads. I think that is it. Let me take a few questions.
Governor, do you have any thoughts about whether there should be some kind of effort in Congress to do something about DACA that would prevent the deportation of some of these people?
Well, listen, from the very beginning, it's been clear that the United States Constitution, on its face, provides that the responsibility for dealing with immigration is assigned to the congressional, to the legislative branch of government, not to the president. And as a result, it is the responsibility of the legislative branch of government to address the issue. Listen, these are issues for the federal government, for Congress. Again, the architectural design is for Congress to address it, and it is right for Congress to address it.
Governor, so at this time, you have no specific guidance for what you as a border state governor would like to see Congress do?
Yeah, I expect Congress to address it. Listen, understand this. It is a multifaceted challenge and issue for Congress to address. What I, both as Attorney General and as Governor, are looking for is for Congress to play its role. As Majority Leader McCarthy pointed out, they want to tackle the issue, and I think latitude needs to be given to Congress to tackle the issue.
What do you tell the thousands of DACA enrollees who are here in Texas now? Are they welcome here? How should they prepare for this?
The way they prepare for it will be determined by the federal government.
Do you have any concerns as to now that the DACA issue is out there, that's going to somehow impair getting enough skilled workers into Texas to keep the recovery moving quickly, that it might slow that process?
Yeah. Answer is no.
What about Tropical Storm Irma, Hurricane Irma?
You know, listen, obviously the United States is very concerned about Irma's pathway. Our early projections, I'll call it premature projections, are that Texas does not have to be concerned about it. But with these storms, who knows? We share our concern with our fellow Americans about its impact on the East Coast. I have spoken with the Florida governor about it to collaborate with him with regard to the resources that currently exist in the state of Texas that he may need access to depending upon what may happen. And so we shall see. But we are hoping for the best for both Florida, for any impacted region.
Congress on Wednesday is scheduled to vote on the
pass it.
But this is the first of an installment that Texas is going to need.
Right. Very importantly, here at this building, I had a meeting with Majority Leader McCarthy, Congressman McCall, and Senator Cornett. And the attitude was upbeat and positive about what they expect to achieve, both in the short term as well as in the long term. The leaders of Congress, including comments made by Speaker Ryan, who has said that they want to step up and ensure that the needs of Texans are addressed. I feel confident that Texas is going to get the resources they need from the federal government. Because of the timing of where we are in the budget cycle, it is appropriate for them to use the funding strategies they're using here in the month of September. With them having said, and also me, when Leader McCarthy was here, we also spoke with Mike Mulvaney. And so we're looking at the multi-step process for funding tranches to ensure that over time, Texas is going to receive the resources that we need, understanding the magnitude of this storm. And everyone in the federal government I've spoken to understands the magnitude of the storm is either the largest or one of the largest natural disasters that we've had in the history of this country. And as a result, it needs a Texas-sized response from Washington, D.C.
Have you spoken directly with the head of the EPA regarding its handling of the flooded waste sites in Houston?
My conversation has been with the regional administrator for the EPA about what they're doing. And every information I have is that the EPA is on top of the issue.
Can you update on refineries coming back online, the pace of that?
Right. There were some refineries that come back online as of yesterday. I think one is Valero. I think another is ExxonMobil. And you can expect refineries to accelerate coming back online. If you look at gasoline futures over the past 24 hours, they have dropped dramatically in price, showing that the market fully expects gasoline to come flooding back into the market.
Governor, you just outlined a number of ways in which of improvement, receiving waters, open highways. It's been more than a week. What's your overall assessment of where we stand with Harvey? Is the worst behind us?
Well, the worst part of any catastrophe like this is the loss of life. And we hope we are at a stage and believe that we are at a stage where there should be no more loss of life. It doesn't mean that we won't find more lives that were lost. We probably will as the waters continue to recede. But we should be beyond the loss of life. That means we get into the longer term process of the build out from this enormous disaster. And we all need to come to grips with the reality that the build out is going to take a very long time. This is a marathon. It's not a sprint. But we are all in this together. And understand this from my perspective. One of my primary goals as governor right now is to do everything I can to work with mayors and county judges to make sure that they are going to have the resources and tools they need to build out. We're all in this together. It doesn't matter what city you are, where you're located. I'm here to be a facilitator to help them achieve their goal, which is to rebuild as quickly as possible.
You gotta go. That's all I got time for.
Thank you.
Is this our last meeting, or do you expect them to continue?
Oh, no, they will continue with a little bit I mean, at least on a weekly basis for now. And I think you guys may know some things going on. You know my schedule today, I assume. I will, throughout the week, the remainder of this week, be visiting Gulf Coast regions ranging all the way from Beaumont later today, Wharton County later today, ranging all the way down to Rockport and the Aransas Pass and Port Aransas areas. And we'll be announcing a very important program later this week.
What is it?
Yeah. Class attendance is required.